The drought did not arrive all at once. It came gradually. Year after year, rainfall became less reliable. At first, the changes may have seemed temporary. Perhaps people believed the next season would be better. Perhaps priests assured the population that the gods would soon restore balance. But the rains continued to fail. Modern scientists studying lake sediments and cave formations have discovered evidence of multiple severe droughts occurring between roughly 750 and 950 AD. Some of these droughts lasted for decades. For an agricultural civilization dependent on predictable rainfall, the consequences were catastrophic. Reservoirs began to shrink. Rivers carried less water. Fields produced smaller harvests. Food became scarce. Families who had once enjoyed stability suddenly faced uncertainty. The problem was particularly severe in the great southern Maya cities. These urban centers depended on enormous populations being fed every year. A city containing tens of thousands of people required a constant supply of food and water. When that supply became unreliable, the entire system came under pressure. The drought did more than create hunger. It created fear. The Maya believed their rulers maintained harmony between humans and the gods. When crops failed repeatedly, people naturally questioned whether their kings still possessed divine favor. Each failed harvest weakened public confidence. Each dry season undermined the authority of the ruling elite. The crisis became political as well as environmental. As food shortages spread, competition intensified. Neighboring cities fought over fertile land. They fought over trade routes. Most importantly, they fought over access to reliable sources of water. What had once been limited conflicts transformed into desperate struggles for survival. The old rules no longer applied. Entire regions became trapped in cycles of violence. Farmers abandoned fields to escape warfare. Trade caravans disappeared. Economic networks collapsed. As resources became scarcer, conflicts became more frequent. And as conflicts became more frequent, resources became even scarcer. The Maya world had entered a vicious cycle. Every problem amplified every other problem. Drought led to famine. Famine led to conflict. Conflict disrupted agriculture. Agricultural disruption created even more famine. Meanwhile, the authority of kings continued to erode. For centuries, Maya rulers had justified their power through religion. Their legitimacy depended upon results. People expected prosperity. They expected rainfall, they expected stability. When these expectations were no longer met, faith began to crumble. The royal courts continued performing ceremonies, blood sacrifices continued, prayers continued. But nothing changed. The reservoirs remained empty, the fields remained dry, the people remained hungry. At some point, many Maya citizens likely reached a simple conclusion. The kings could not save them. The gods were not answering. The system had failed. Once that belief spread, the foundations of Maya society began to collapse. Archaeologists have found evidence that many cities were not violently destroyed. Instead, they were gradually abandoned. This distinction is important. The collapse of the Maya was not like the sudden destruction of Pompeii. It was not a single event, it was a process. A slow unraveling that occurred over generations. Families left first, then neighborhoods emptied. Eventually, entire cities lost their populations. People moved away in search of food, water, and safety. Some migrated north, others settled in smaller rural communities. Many simply chose survival over loyalty to collapsing cities. Imagine standing in the center of Tikal during those final years. The Great Pyramids still tower above the landscape. The temples remain magnificent. The palaces still dominate the plazas. Yet something has changed. Markets are quieter, fewer farmers arrive with produce, fewer merchants travel the roads, construction projects have stopped, the crowds have grown smaller. The energy that once filled the city is fading. Year after year, more people leave. Eventually, the city becomes a shadow of its former self. Then one day, it is abandoned altogether. The jungle wastes no time reclaiming what humans leave behind. Seeds settle into cracks between stones. Plants emerge. Roots expand. Trees grow. Rain and humidity accelerate the process. Within decades, vegetation begins covering plazas and staircases. Within centuries, entire structures disappear beneath layers of forest. The jungle becomes the new ruler of the land. Nature reclaims the empire. For nearly 1,000 years, many of these cities remained hidden. Travelers occasionally heard rumors. Local communities remembered ancient places deep within the forest. But much of the outside world forgot they existed. The cities became legends. The Maya became mysteries. When explorers eventually rediscovered these ruins, they were astonished. How could such advanced cities have vanished? How could a civilization capable of extraordinary achievements simply disappear? The answer, as researchers now understand, is that the Maya never truly disappeared. This is one of the most important parts of the story. The collapse affected political institutions, it affected cities, it affected kings, but it did not eliminate the Maya people. Millions survived. They adapted, they changed, and they continued living in their ancestral lands. In fact, some Maya communities preserved traditions that stretched back centuries. Languages survived, religious practices survived, agricultural knowledge survived, family histories survived. The civilization changed form, but the people endured. Today, more than 7 million Maya descendants live throughout Central America. Many continue speaking indigenous Maya languages. Some communities still practice ceremonies rooted in ancient traditions. Others maintain cultural customs passed down through generations. The descendants of the pyramid builders are still here. Their story did not end with the collapse. It evolved. This reality challenges a common misconception. People often imagine history as a series of civilizations that suddenly vanish. In reality, human societies are more resilient. They adapt to changing circumstances. They migrate. They reorganize. They reinvent themselves. The Maya were no exception. Their cities may have fallen silent, but their culture survived. As researchers continued studying the ruins, another remarkable breakthrough occurred. For decades, scholars could not read Maya writing. The glyphs carved into monuments appeared mysterious and incomprehensible. Many experts believed they represented purely symbolic ideas. Others assumed the true meaning had been lost forever. Then a new generation of scholars challenged those assumptions. Researchers discovered that Maya writing was a sophisticated combination of symbols and phonetic sounds. It was not merely decorative art. It was a true writing system. One of the most important breakthroughs came when scholars realized that many inscriptions recorded the lives of kings and queens. Suddenly, the monuments began speaking. Names emerged from stone, birth dates emerged, coronations emerged, battles emerged, entire dynasties reappeared after centuries of silence. The Maya were no longer anonymous architects. They became real people with ambitions, fears, rivalries, and dreams. History came alive. The decipherment of Maya writing transformed our understanding of the civilization. Instead of viewing them as peaceful astronomers living in isolation, historians discovered a dynamic world filled with political competition, diplomacy, warfare, innovation, and cultural achievement. The ancient cities finally told their own stories, and those stories revealed both greatness and vulnerability. The Maya achieved extraordinary things. They built monumental cities in challenging environments. They developed advanced mathematics. They created sophisticated calendars. They mastered astronomy. They produced stunning works of art. Yet despite these accomplishments, they faced limits. Their environment had limits. Their resources had limits. Their political systems had limits. When multiple crises arrived simultaneously, those limits became impossible to ignore. This is one reason the Maya story continues to fascinate people today. It feels surprisingly modern. We live in a world facing environmental challenges. We debate sustainability. We worry about climate change. We witness political instability. We understand how interconnected systems can become vulnerable. The Maya experienced many of these same dynamics more than 1,000 years ago. Their story serves as both a warning and a lesson. A warning that even highly advanced societies can become fragile when they overextend themselves, and a lesson that adaptation is often the key to survival. The people who survived the collapse were not necessarily the strongest warriors or the richest nobles. Often, they were the communities willing to change, the communities willing to move, the communities willing to abandon old assumptions and embrace new realities. Their flexibility became their strength. Their resilience became their legacy. In many ways, the story of the Maya is not ultimately about collapse. It is about transformation. The end of one world created the beginning of another. The great southern cities disappeared into the forest. New centers emerged elsewhere. Old traditions evolved into new forms. The civilization adapted to changing circumstances. And because it adapted, it survived. Today, visitors standing atop a Maya pyramid often experience a profound sense of wonder. The structures are breathtaking. The craftsmanship is extraordinary. The scale is astonishing. Yet the most remarkable aspect of the Maya story may not be the monuments themselves. It may be the endurance of the people who built them. Empires rise. Empires fall. Cities flourish. Cities disappear. But cultures can survive astonishing challenges. The Maya prove that survival is not always about preserving the past exactly as it was. Sometimes survival requires change. Sometimes survival requires leaving old systems behind. Sometimes survival means finding new ways to live while carrying ancient traditions into the future. That is exactly what the Maya accomplished. Their cities became silent. Their kingdoms vanished. Their rulers disappeared. But their people endured, and their story continues to echo across the centuries. More than a tale of collapse, it is a story of resilience. More than a mystery, it is a lesson. More than an ancient tragedy, it is a reminder that every civilization, no matter how powerful, must find a balance between ambition, resources, and sustainability. The Maya once believed history moved in great cycles of creation and destruction. Looking back on their journey, it is difficult not to see wisdom in that belief. Civilizations rise. Civilizations fall. Yet humanity continues, adapting, learning, enduring, and perhaps that is the greatest legacy the Maya left behind.